All right, we're just waiting for a few people to join.
My profile picture is
Hey there.
Hello.
Ah, awesome, man. Great to have you here. Good to hear people's voices as well. Just give a few people some time to join. Let me just make sure I'm recording this. Awesome, it's recording. Can you also see my trading screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So how familiar are you guys with the EA?
I've been using it for a while now, so about 2 months.
Awesome. Cool. You're from the UK, right?
Oh, I am. That's right. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. My background is not EA related, but when it comes to understanding trading, I've been trading for a fair amount of time.
Right.
So I kind of understand how most of these settings work and how they operate and how to use it to the advantage that I use it. Let me just let more people in. Now, are you all running the new version?
Yes, I started it on a demo yesterday. So I'm not on my real one because I'll do that on Sunday night. But I'm running it on a demo at the moment as we speak.
Cool.
Just to see how it works.
Yeah, it is. I've just found the feature that is not working.
Okay.
And that's the daily target. It was working on the other version. So I've just been running it consistently just to work out any flaws, because my aim is to run this on a live, real standard account, contract size account, and to be away from all the prop firms. So I'm looking at a 10,000 euro or 10,000 GBP account.
Right.
So I'm doing all my testing on that. And so from that perspective, that's where I'm putting up all my settings and basing it off. I've done pre-tests already on $200,000 accounts, FTMOs, $100,000 accounts. And I've pretty much run version 3 or version 4 to the bones across multiple MT4 platforms.
Right.
So one thing, right, I'm not sure if anybody is going live. So one thing I would advise is I'm not sure if anybody's seen the video that Faris posted out on his Instagram about the basic sessions on VPS, right? I know it's super basic, but there are people that ask me, but there is one area that I think people should check out, and it's the live account tips. And I'll go over it now and how I use the latency broker, latency to Forex broker
Yeah.
to set up my VPS. That's a really cool tip. As this is a scalping EA, latency, the speed of execution is going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
And it helps where your broker is. So my live broker is, and I've actually asked IC Markets to specifically move me to the live 5 so I can be as close as possible to the data feed.
Right. Okay.
And so I've asked IC Markets and they're happy and they're going to move me across. I'm originally on number 6
Okay.
and they're moving me over to 5. And if you ask them, they can do that for you, which is not something normally people will ever tell you. But yeah, I know we're talking like milliseconds.
Yeah,
But
it makes a big difference.
it makes a difference, especially when you have slippage involved. You know, when you got 25, there's no chance. So, you know, this is something.
So do you want to go on the 5? Yeah, you said.
Yeah, I'm moving over to 5 on
Yeah,
IC
because I'm already,
Markets.
I'm already on that one 5 live.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Keep on the 5. And I'm actually looking.
Sorry to just
Yeah.
butt in, but you know when you're running free. So for example, I'm running a Sense account with Pacific Union, then I've got my live account with IC Markets, Real Money, and then I've got the FTMO Challenge. So each one, like for example, FTMO is good for London. You know, they say you should use London, right? And then Pacific and IC should use New York. So I think the best one's to use New York if I want to run all three.
Yeah, and then you can be even more specific. Like you can look at your brokers and see which ones are closer. You know, I know this is picnicking and being super specific, but we're dealing with gold, volatility, and yes, I know the sessions where we're trading is you know, there's even tools out there that you use for latency trading where you're taking a slow broker and a fast broker. So things like this make a difference. One thing I do advise is my Forex funds, their spreads during the Asian sessions are not very good.
Okay.
So my Forex funds, their spreads are pretty bad during the Asian session.
Okay.
So that's the main area on the video, which I thought was quite interesting that most people probably don't know about or even consider looking into. Let's just have a look and see. I've actually got it running in the background. Let's just close all orders. So what I'm going to show first of all is, which I think the new feature is pretty cool. It's actually setting in. This is a screenshot of when this happened today. And I have the hard stop, and I'll show that in a minute. And you can see the hard stop being placed automatically here. So I opened up positions and I'd see this drop and I was like, I want to survive this drop. I switched off the EA, but by that time it already placed the hard stop in. And it does that by the percentage of the risk.
So you don't have to do it yourself. The EA does it itself, is it?
The EA does it for itself. And so this is what I've been testing out, the settings. So, and I'll show that where it is. So for example, in here, we go.
But Andrew, I don't know because SL is the same that equity stop or is different?
First of all, let me show you 1 second. Just trying to sort out my screens. I've got 2 screens. Hold on. Something's going on. What happened here?
Oh, yeah.
1 second. What is okay, hold on. Just I've got 3 screens on and something is not showing. Can you still see my screen?
It's gone small now. Yeah.
All right, now awesome.
No,
yes.
yeah.
All right, cool. Sorry about that. All right, so the setting that I use for the hard stop is this. Because there's 3 settings. You've got the filter equity, filter caution, and the take equity. And what I've been using is the filter equity stop. You can see I've set that to true. And on the others, I've set to stop, false.
Okay, so everything else is false except for the equity
Yeah.
stop.
And the
Right.
reason why is this, I like to deal with percentages. So I know my risk on a 10K account is 2%. After 2%, I'm out of the market. I don't want to be in that
Okay.
market, right?
Right.
I don't need an alert to be sent. That's not my concern. And it
Yeah.
will close all the orders and it will close out at 2%. So
And will it turn off the EA as well, the auto trading?
it will turn off. So I've yet to
Okay.
see that happen because I've not reached 2% yet.
Sure.
So these are the things that I need to work out before going into a live condition. And so today I noticed
Yeah.
the stop losses were placed ready in preparation for my 2%.
So I can ask you one question. So you know the individual trades that he takes, yeah, it's already got an SL on it. Yeah, it comes with an SL. But when this sort of drop is about happening, is the system automatically change the SL again to lower?
Yeah, so it will automatically adjust. So it's doing that.
Yes.
That's why these magic numbers are super, they are necessary to have. Let me just let more people in. It's necessary to have because that's how the EA is working out which order to close in that process. Now,
Okay.
today, for example, what I have noticed is I have my daily target set. So once I
Right.
set a daily target of $200 or 200 euros,
It will stop trading.
it will stop trading. But at today, it didn't actually do that.
So it carried on even after you hit your target.
Exactly, because I'm monitoring this.
Right.
And today, 224. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm happy. But
Yeah.
at the
But
end of the
it's-
day, that's not what I want to do.
Got it.
So I'm going to retest that again. I'm going to refresh everything and give that another go.
Right.
But that also, here it is, daily target in the money.
Okay.
So the way I see the opportunity here is that, yeah, everybody's talking, yeah, okay, I'm in drawdown, I'm in this. The key point is to work out your drawdown and your maximum loss on a daily expected. What is your daily happiness to lose? You will never consistently make money in this market. We have to give something back at one point.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes, this EA is phenomenal at what it does, but we do need to intervene at certain parts of the market. And so that's why, for me, the most important features are the stop loss implementation and the daily targets, and then I'm out of the market.
Yeah.
Because if you're consistently making, if you think, the way I think is this, right? We've got 3 trading days.
Yeah.
If one trading day I hit 2%, but on the other 2 trading days, I can break even, I'm content with that.
Yeah.
Because the following, there will be weeks when, for weeks, you'll consistently be clocking in the profit.
Yeah. I've seen that a few weeks ago. I made crazy profits, and then last week or this week's been a bit slow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's about setting those daily limits, and also I find understand what a 1,000 pip move drawdown. So, so you can actually understand, you can start messing around with your settings. For example, my multiplier, I think you guys have got the standard 1.357. I've got 1.25.
Right.
Now, this is for my own benefit because I want to reduce my risk in the market. I'm happy to go slow and pad the account with equity because I know I'm safer on a 10, 15, 20K account because that's going to be live money.
Yeah.
But I know over the 6 months to a year, you can turn 10K to 100K
Yeah.
by padding the account over time. So that's my view over it.
Mm.
Also adding these onto pairs. A lot of people are doing this on FTMO and gold. I get it, but also consider forex pairs, GBP AED, GBP USD, AUD USD. There's some pairs that move during the Asian session that are just as profitable.
Right. So do you trade only the Asian session, or do you do part of London?
So I like to wake up and see at least $100 to $150 euros in profit,
In the
and then
morning?
I'll
Okay.
watch the London Open.
Yeah,
If
8
there's
o'clock,
volatility in the London Open,
Yeah.
I'll switch
Close
off
it.
auto trading, wait for the
Okay.
spike, and switch it back on.
Okay. So
And then-
usually, do you find that you're in a bit of a drawdown coming up to London session?
Yeah, like I find if there is like a stop hunt, and we can go over some of that. For example, there is a little bit of drawdown, and so I do a lot of manual intervening. So for
Okay.
example, let's go to the 1 hour chart. So let's, for example, look at this here, right? So we trade the Asian session, and I trade 2 hours before the market open.
So about 8 o'clock, or yeah.
All right. So in the UK, about 8 o'clock, I start
Yeah.
opening up the EA because this is
Okay.
the dead zone.
Yeah, not a lot happens. Yeah, you're right. I've seen
Yeah.
that.
2 hours before, 2 hours after, super dead. I know I can run this EA at zero on a 10K account. If I was to be greedy, but I can still be safe, I can put 0.10, right?
Yeah.
And you milk it easy.
Right.
But
Until the morning. Yeah. Yeah.
and for a couple of hours, right?
Yeah.
But the issue is this: I don't want to go to bed at 0.10 first entry.
Okay.
And that's the issue. So that's my the edge that I have on the market is the EA and the Asian session. But the drawback where I'm losing edge over the market is that I'm sleeping. That's the negative point, If I was not sleeping and I was in Eastern time, New York, oh, dude, you'll be up at 8 o'clock Eastern time. By the time you go to bed, you've made your money. So it's phenomenal.
You sleep once you've made your money. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So, on a live account, I'll probably run it at 0.4 once I've padded the account. So once I get from 10 grand to 15 grand, I'm happily to put 0.4 during my sleeping because I'll wake up easy, $200-$300 in your pocket.
Yeah. I've seen that.
So the idea is either don't sleep and then go sleep during the day, do a night shift.
Excuse me, but the blue rectangle you chose is not Asia market. It's a bit of New York market at 20.
Sorry, I just put that quickly. So you want 22, 21.
Yes, and before and Asia. No, isn't it?
Here we go. Look, so the dead zone for me is 2 hours.
The best zone for you.
The dead zone, as in the area where there is low volatility. There is, but you need to ensure you have a raw account broker, zero spread.
Okay.
Because that's, with the account that I have, it's raw spread, so it's not going to be affected. But in this session, for example, you can run it just up to London Open. This is GMT +3, 4, 5. This is 5 o'clock, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So 6. And the Asian session is known for its consolidations. But it does not mean, for example, this, right? I thought I would be smart. So I did this as a test. Please do not do this.
Okay. Thank you.
You can test it, but I'll show you why it's going to fail.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
So I had one EA on the left, trading highly aggressive, 0.10. I had another EA running London session, half the risk of Asian session because I know it works, right? And then I had in New York, and I knew New York had those volatility spikes just before exchanges open. So to take advantage of the exchange market, I increased the step distance and I reduced the multiplier. And I was taking advantage of the drawdown. Because when you're going to make money in New York session is when this happens. That's when you make money. When you are in drawdown. Because price will end up pulling back. Now, I said to myself, dude, on a 10K account, you'd make $5,000 in one day. You're milking the Asian session because you're adjusting the settings out. I kept the multiplier 1.357. The London, I had the multiplier 1.2 and I had 0.05. So I was making about 500 on the Asian session. I was making about 300 in the London session, and I was making about 200 to 300 on the New York session. But I'm adjusting the settings according to the movement
The market, yeah.
of each of the sessions. Now, that was a fantastic idea. I thought, right, I nailed it. But the problem was this. I was using inside in here. So I was using this. And I was saying on the Asian one here, let's pull out this. On the Asian session, on this settings for this guy, I was setting my time limit 2 hours before and it was about 3 hours before London open. It was about 5 o'clock. It was closing the position. And then on the London, I would also change the time. And then in New York, I'll change the time. And I thought now I can have them all work fully automatic.
One after the other, yeah.
But there was an issue with that. And the issue is those positions open in London in the Asian session, if they were not manually closed, they'll be carried over to London. And then the London and the Asian sessions, if they're not closed, were carried on to New York. And it's sometimes just not worth it. And I'll tell you why. Because why go through all that pain when you can just make the money in London and Asian and London?
Yeah.
And I thought, there's no point. There's no point in doing it. No point going through that pain. But it was quite a cool concept. So if you think about it, you can actually load 2 different settings accordingly. And then that's when I understood that I can still trade the New York session on safe settings if I really wanted to. But you make about $200. So you make probably just over 1% on the account, if that. So if you're dealing with most people are on FTMOs, it's not going to be that much, or people are not going to be content with that unless you're fully funded and you have a $400,000 account. So it's adjusting those settings accordingly, because that's what's going to matter. Let me see some messages here. I only use London session to try and recover drawdown. That's cool idea. What's the best VPS to manage my Forex funds or FTMO? Personally, I go with OptiCoast. I'm with OptiCoast at the moment. Oh, sorry, no. I mean with Choco Ping. Super fast, super reliable. Whether they're close to FTMO or not, I'll need to kind of look into that. Yeah, it's being recorded. All right, someone else from the UK, and they're asking what time I open. So if you're in the UK, first of all, look at the chart, right? To be safe, you want as late as close as possible to the 2-hour time zone. But if, for example, like there was a day, here we go, here, where we had this drop, right? Where's the line? Here we go.
Excuse me, Andrew.
Yeah.
Your hours. You are in okay in UK.
Yes.
You are in, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So with this, it's usually plus 2 hours GMT from the broker. So when there is a move like this during the New York session, I'm probably not even going to switch this on till probably about 10, 11 o'clock GMT time. You know, because I don't know if this is going to carry on moving down, because this is what that's my cat, 1005. All right. You know, you just never know if this is going to continue dropping. So when there's a big move like this, I'll try and switch it on as late as possible and during GMT time, about 9, 10, even like 10, 11 o'clock. But if you see, for example, during the New York session, and we've had like a relatively normal move, yeah, you can switch that on about 8, 9 o'clock quite safely. One other thing that I do is I say to myself, I mark out ranges, right? And you can see I've got a horizontal line. And I'd noticed everybody in the Discord and the Telegram got completely demolished here. But I already said to myself, if I break this area, I cut my losses. And that's where I cut my losses before the drop. So I was coming in here and I already had this kind of range marked out. And I'll show you how I mark my ranges. And as soon as it started to break down and it was coming into this resistance, I just stopped all my losses. I just cut out and I was out of the market, and then it just tanked. And that's how I handle it. You know, I mark out ranges and I use those as my areas. And so you can either use the daily range and you can use the most recent areas, like here, the daily range here. That's the most significant. It's probably going to end up going back up. But as soon as it breaks out, I'll just cut my losses and get out. If it's going to break a significant range, you're going to get a serious move. And especially if you see these gaps, these voids, price is going to want to come back into these areas. So in this situation, I'll be like, right, I'm done for the day. I probably made $250, $235, close and done. But as I'm testing, I want to see what happens.
Hiya, this is Wizard here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Wizards.
Yeah. So that, I don't know if you learned ICT at some point, but that that gap that you've got there is an inefficiency or an FEG. I've kind of noticed they're kind of dangerous with EA trading and martingale on it, because once you get into one of those voids, there's kind of no stopping price normally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've often switched off with those. I'm just not. I just need to be more disciplined with it, and listening to those voice messages last night from Carrick kind of lines up with kind of what I've kind of learned with EAs, that you kind of need to understand structure and actually know when to turn it off and turn it on. I've come from another group that was, I think, more about marketing than the technical side, and the guy that runs it claims he's not a trader, and I think we were all desperately trying to find settings that can run 24/7.
Yeah,
which
and
I'm not sure exists in all market conditions. I have got some settings that work or have worked for the last month 24/7. They're not that exciting, and it would have passed a challenge, but you need enough risk to pass a challenge. And if you've got too much risk, you're going to get loads of EPs, like some of the moves from last night. So
exactly, and this is the like, I'm a trader for what, 8+ years,
okay,
self-taught, right? And I have all the content for ICT, the mentorship. I can send that through to you. Just send me a link, and I'll send you the.
yeah, no, I've been through all that. So I've
cool.
done some Phantom, I've done ICT. I've done the rounds. I did some retail stuff before that. I did Dante years ago and then took a break. So I've kind of got enough knowledge on market structure and stuff. I just like the idea of an EA to do the actual trading, but I think I need to kind of blend the two together now and not get kind of blindsided by people that reckon you can just switch on and lead it.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, it's very hard to find an EA that's going to be trading in all market conditions, because some EAs do very well in consolidation, some do very well in trending markets, some do well for breakouts. But it's like, you don't take a four-wheel drive car, like a Defender, Land Rover Defender on a racetrack, or you don't take a Ferrari four-wheel driving.
No.
And that's how I approach it.
I do really like the way that you guys kind of promote having different templates for the different sessions, because that again lines up with kind of what I know of the market, which the other group hadn't done. So I definitely like that concept that you've got here.
Yeah, and it's also about learning about market structures. Like, for example, we know we have a high up here, right? We never had a higher high at this point. So we already have an indication that we're going to have a breakdown. And we've got the famous M pattern formation already, which already started to mitigate up here.
Yeah.
So, just having some basic structure, I don't believe in trend lines. Yeah. Trend lines are there to create your higher highs and higher lows, but you can see that without trend lines.
I just use them as liquidity on the move down now. So one of the things I was looking at was, like we're talking about inefficiencies there, is having enough EP to cover and move back to like an unmitigated order block.
Right.
I think that's often kind of where the disconnect is the market hunts liquidity, and yet we're all kind of trying to set EPs to max the money to normally pass a challenge. But I was trying to work out this morning, because I was in quite deep drawdown, that as long as that order block held this morning on the H4, we're okay. But once that breaks, as you say, we've then got that daily inefficiency above, and there'll be no stopping price at that point. But if your EP is big enough to cover a void, then you're probably okay. But
this is
on V3, I noticed you had there was an ATR pip step. Did that go into version 4 or not? I couldn't see it.
We're actually in discussion at the moment to implement the ATR, and I'll go over some reasons why.
Okay.
First of all, when something like this is happening, once you're skilled enough, I would come into the EA and I would say in here, take buy orders only. We know it's going to go long.
Yeah.
Right. And we can come in here and you can set your buy orders only. But I don't advocate that type of practice.
I haven't really spent that much time watching this EA doing that when it moves with the market. But I know on the other EA, which is fundamentally the same thing as grid with LSE and PSE again, they don't tend to bank that much money going with the flow, because obviously the lot sizes are smaller. They obviously martingale up going in the wrong direction. So I've never really played with directional bias with these, because they don't seem to bank that much money. But is it worth the effort and the stress, really? I guess
again, like, I wouldn't advocate, because it's really not worth it. Because the thing is this: we're driving down a road and we're given the road sign that says you're allowed 60, right? And then it turns down that there's a high left turn. What do? We slow down.
Yeah.
So what do we do in this situation? We just turn off the EA. We know there's something happening. We know that we're coming into New York session. We have these visual landmarks or indications in the price feed. And sometimes we have a disconnect between greed and reality. And sometimes we just need to be really hard on our look here. I know we're going to go up. Do I really want to only take buys and take that risk just before New York Open? No chance. Unless I'm just testing the EA, let's put it on. you know, the other thing is, if you are stuck in that environment where, let's just say we are in this buy area and this consolidation and it's buying and selling at the same time, and all of a sudden you see how it just set a stop loss, right? All of a sudden price starts moving up and I'm in a 1,000 pip drawdown up here, right? Let's just take a scenario here and show you what I would do. I'll come up to the higher time frame. This is my instinct from a trading perspective. And I'll mark this area here, area of resistance. And I'll come in where this pin bar is. And I know there's some sort of inefficiency here. So I'll just mark here. I'll now whip out my calculator, right? And this is what I would do. So let's say I'm in open position of 0.8 or whatever it is. I'll come in times and calculate what my step distance will be. So it'll be 0.62. My next one, I come in here and I put a sell limit. Come in here, sell limit. And the next one, 0.92, whatever it is. Put my sell limit. I will probably have maybe 5, 6 max open positions during a 1,000 pip move, which will give me a drawdown of about 230 pips, dollars on 1,000 pip drawdown. So I already know what my 1,000 pip drawdown is going to be in terms of dollar value. And then I set my limits really far off. Even if it goes an additional 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, I know I can survive a 3,000 pip move. So if I look at this and I say, right, okay, a 3,000 pip move, this is a 6,000.
You should put a pillow in your head.
I know what to do in this. I know what to do
Are you
in
saying
this.
you'd stop the EA in this situation and just put those sales on manually?
Exactly. And I'm setting my buy and sell limits accordingly to it. So I already know here's my $200 loss. This is going to be
So you can see everything.
$250. So I'm already calculating what my, and this is why I do back testing, to calculate what my 1,000 pip move is going to be in dollar value. So I can pre-plan my limits according to a 3,000 pip move. And my 3,000 pip move is the absolute shutoff point. My last limit, and then I account it to a 100 pip.
This is the
So that's how I work it out.
the exit of what? That's the exit, friend.
Let's mute that. Cool. All right, Zoom is going to finish out in a minute. Any other questions on messages also?
Andrew?
Yeah.
Yes, good morning. Bro,
Morning.
if you could just show me about the, the multiplier Excel sheet we have. I kind of understood, but I just want to double check if I have the right thing. So can you just show me how to use it, like a quick one?
All right, so you just want to have a look at the multiplier, right? The
the Excel sheet. Because I know.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't had a look at that yet. So the thing is, what I want to do on that sheet, I had a quick look.
Okay.
And I want to set a chart. Now, it's phenomenal what that thing was. That's fantastic reference. But I think one thing that needs to be added on there is a balance to that sheet. So if we start at $1,000 and these are your multipliers, what's the drawdown on those multipliers?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Because these are pure maths. Your step distance and your multiplier and your TP and your start lot all have the equation. And this is where it gets complicated because everybody's going to have something different. But we need to set the basic formations for everybody to use. And it should just be $1,000 account, because then from 1,000, we can work out what 10,000, what 100,000 is.
True, makes sense, yeah.
And ideally, that's just going to take a little bit of time to get to. So
That's fine.
we want to know what a 1,000 pip move is going to do to a 1.25 multiplier, and what that's going to do to a 1.357 or 1.357, which is the you know, because if you think about it, all assets have different pip values also. You know, a GBP AUD is going to make you $1.5, whereas GBP USD has a value, a greater value in pips, which is going to make you $2 more. $2. It's going to make you extra 50 cents more. And sometimes we put the same settings on GBP AUD and GBP USD when we're not really adjusting the settings or fine tuning it to the actual asset. Again, going back to a car, we're fine tuning the car in the factory to the performance or the stats of the engine type, if that makes sense.